All right, should be good now.
Everything is fine. I doubt it will rain at all.
I'm sure it'll be great.
So let's record this thing first for
Right.
the alleged wrestling podcast.
Yes. Hang on. Why is he yelling like that? All right. Well. All right. Yeah. It could be 30 seconds long. It'll be fine.
Sure. Hey, everybody. This is Ethan.
And Liam.
From The Wrestling Life at TWL_podcast on Twitter. And we're here to wish the fellows at the alleged wrestling podcast a very happy 100th episode.
Yes, it's quite a milestone. We recently celebrated our 200th episode, #humblebrag. And it's quite a feat to get to that 100, though. And of course, the wonderful Irish lads over at the alleged wrestling podcast were nice enough to send us a little message of congratulations when we hit our big milestone. So we wanted to return the favor and congratulate them on a job well done, and also to thank you for making your shout out message about 30 seconds long compared to the Take Two Takedown guys' messages that was like 9 minutes long. So thank you for keeping your message short and sweet, and we will do the same here. So congratulations, guys.
Hope everything is going well over in Galway. I loved the Chieftains of Van Morrison song about the county down as a child. So that's about the extent of my knowledge of Galway. But anyway, congratulations, lads.
Congrats.
All right. Think that's good?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right. Now we'll do our show where we just bitch about stuff.
I mean, G1's been really good.
Yeah, that's true.
Bitch about WWE.
Yeah. We're on our second Raw reunion video package tonight, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Charlotte and Ember Moon went 8 seconds.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's The Wrestling Life. It's episode 206. It is July 24th, 2019. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
Liam, 1 week to the trade deadline. So much to talk about this week.
And so many things we can't talk about.
Hey, everything is great with World Wrestling Entertainment. They got their largest television audience of the year on Monday, and everything is great. Everything's fixed.
Everything's great, and it always will be.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, so I guess we can just get into the show. A bunch of legends came out and said hello, and that was it.
Yeah, the show was pretty much, hey, you remember all these legends? They are still alive.
Yeah, I guess I was a little frustrated because outside of the Foley and Bray Wyatt thing, and I guess the DX and Seth Rollins thing, they didn't really try to do anything with the large audience or shoot like a big angle between some current talent to try to, I don't know, push for the SummerSlam show that's in like 3 weeks.
The last time they did something like that was at Raw 1000, which was like 7 years ago to the date or something like that. Or yeah, they didn't put that much thought into it. But that time they had CM Punk lay out The Rock, and they were off to the races for the next, year and a half of their top world title programs.
Yeah.
So problem is there's no Dwayne Johnson coming back to work.
True, but you could have, used. So I would say there's 2 people on WWE television currently that could do a segment with Steve Austin where he could endorse them and it would feel like organic. Becky Lynch being the one obvious one.
Right.
And Kevin Owens being the other, who maybe right now feels more obvious because he does the stunner and is feuding with the boss. But you could have just, instead of having Austin, ramble for 10 minutes, you could have had him come out, and him and Owens could have done stunners on Shane and Elias or whatever, or could have had him come out and, do a beer bash with Becky Lynch or something. And instead he talked about eating sushi with Hulk Hogan and hugging Ron Simmons for an uncomfortable amount of time. And I don't know, started to try to tell a story about him and Jerry Briscoe in South America or something.
South Africa, and they were smoking weed.
Ah, okay, yeah, but then he got cut off by the the now sharp 11 p.m. deadline that Raw has to abide by. So
let me just break in here and say that I think you hated this show, and while I'm not going to defend a whole lot of what they did on Monday, I will say I didn't think it was a bad show. I think it was much less bad than it usually is. But there's like nothing. This is not my hill to die on.
Okay.
I'm not gonna, if you hated the show, great. I didn't hate the show. I didn't think it was great, but I'm okay with sending legends out there and not just laying them out one after the other. You get, one of these. They used to have these shows, and they just have a bunch of mid-card heels lay out all the legends and make the legends look dumb. I don't care. I don't want to see Steve Austin, raising Becky's arm if the crowd's going to crap all over it.
Do you think the crowd would crap on that, though?
I don't know. They have done Becky no favors in the last 3.5 months.
Fair, but I definitely don't think they would have done it with Owens, is my point. So you could have done something. Or if you didn't want to do it with Austin, I guess you kind of did it with DX. And according to Dave Meltzer, that spot that Seth was in was supposed to be Ricochet, and it was supposed to be like the big, all the old timers come out and put over Ricochet. And they say it's because Ricochet had an elbow infection, but I actually believe it's because Kevin Nash refused to put over a guy that small.
I get no problems with that.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, so I think you obviously hated the show. I thought it was fine. But
isn't the fact that they brought back every single legend that's ever been on the show? Also, Eve Torres was there, and it was just kind of slightly better than it usually is. Isn't that a sign that it was still a pretty bad show?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I think it hurts that they do so many nostalgia shows. I guess the real last real nostalgia show was January 2018. So yeah, it's been
the Raw 25.
Right. So it's been 18 months since they've done one, but it feels somehow like they do these all the time. And so it loses, I am so tired of seeing Sergeant Slaughter and Ron Simmons. God damn it! And I love Ron Simmons. that damn shtick is great. Sergeant Slaughter, I have no idea why he's here, but
Iraqi sympathizer. Sergeant Slaughter
never drew a dime.
Enemy combatant.
Never drew a dime. Vince brought him to the ring in Montreal. In case Brett started to shoot on him.
Oh my god. That's one of my favorite stories.
Vince looked around the locker room and was like, who can I bring with me?
Fat old Sergeant
Slaughter. Oh man.
Not even Briscoe or somebody that was an amateur.
Right, wrestler. Briscoe's a legit shooter. Yeah.
He could have maybe tried to tackle Brett or, do a single leg on him or something now.
No, Slaughter.
Oh, just amazing.
What?
Yeah. That one might have been my favorite and also subsequently least favorite at the same time segment is when Sergeant Slaughter, the Hurricane, Rob Van Dam, Impact superstar Rob Van Dam,
yeah,
and Kurt Angle, aka the Big Four, came out and just stood there.
There's a lot of people just standing there on the show. So everybody, I would just like to point out that everyone was like, "Oh man, Rob Van Dam looks so high." I have had to watch Impact shows twice in the last month.
I'm sorry.
And Rob looked downright sober on Raw compared to how high he was on both of the Impact shows that I've watched in the last month.
Well, I guess maybe he cared a little bit more about being on this show. As he said in his post-show interview, when else am I going to be in front of a crowd this size?
Yeah. All right, so you hated Raw. I think it's an indictment, or and think it's an indictment of everything they're doing, that it was only slightly better than usual, given that they had everyone there. I don't disagree so strongly that I'm going to go to bat for them.
Fair.
But I didn't hate it as much as you hate it.
I guess if you take it segment by segment, there was nothing that I thought was like embarrassing. I just think as a whole, I watched it and I was like, that was a waste. They just didn't do anything. And again, I don't need, as you said, I don't need every legend to be brought out and made fun of or laid out by, Drew McIntyre or somebody. But like, do something with one or two people, please. Because otherwise, what's the point? Like, as much as people hated that Raw 25 show a couple years ago, on that show they had DX put over the Balor Club, and then they had, in the main event segment, they had all the legends come out, and Braun beat up Kane and Brock, and all the legends clapped for Braun to end the show. So, like, at least on that show, they did two angles that were the old guys saying, "Hey, look at these new guys. Look how great the new guys are." So we didn't get that at all on that show, except for, I guess, the Seth segment. So yeah, I just feel like it was a missed opportunity and a waste.
I think that's a fair assessment. SmackDown this week, the Shane McMahon show. He was in the opening segment. He was in the second segment. He was in the next to last segment, and he was in the last segment.
He sure was. The women on the show got about 9 seconds. Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton were in the 9 o'clock segment. Finn Balor challenging Bray Wyatt to a match at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam was at like 9:30, and yes, Shane McMahon in as however many segments you just said, 4.
Yes, may have been more, but those are the at very least he was in 4 segments, and just all over the segments too. Not like Shane walking backstage. Like the last time I gave a Shane McMahon segment count, I think it was on Raw like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was in 7 or 8 segments. And 2 of those, he was just walking backstage. No, these were like Shane heavy segments.
Yeah, it was. I guess they're doing a match though. Now we know they're doing Owens and Shane at SummerSlam with the stip that if Owens loses, he quits. Not the stipulation anyone would want, which is if Shane loses, he's gone. But
and the problem here is that Shane has played video of Kevin Owens saying "I quit," so they've already tipped their hand that they're going to do the Mankind Rock finish from their "I Quit" match in 1999 or whatever.
Yeah, seems pretty likely.
So Shane's going to win that match. And as I like to remind the listener every year, SummerSlam is a heavy heel win show because they feel like they have to set up, their next 6 months or whatever a babyface is chasing. So SummerSlam is going to be just heels winning up and down the thing. So Shane's definitely going to beat Kevin Owens in that match.
It's depressing.
Yeah. So I don't want to see Kevin Owens doing a Steve Austin tribute act, which is maybe another reason why I don't like the idea of Steve Austin coming out and endorsing Kevin Owens. Like, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. I don't know. I just don't like it.
I like it because Shane McMahon gets beat up every week and made to look a fool. And when he was feuding with Mike, and Roman, for the most part, he was standing tall every week. So I like that. I like the parts of it where the heel looks like an idiot and is constantly being outsmarted.
I suppose that's fair. Hey, we're done. Are you excited for? I guess we're not done yet. Are you excited for Smackville?
Smackville, which is it's a 2-match show, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. They'll probably end Elias doing a promo, which will probably turn into a match.
Sure. That'll be something.
They're doing that thing where they're putting a part of a house show on the network again.
Is this like a test for whatever that tiered network thing they keep teasing they're going to do is?
I thought that's what the Dean Ambrose one was, and that was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like maybe they're back to teasing it again. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why else they'd be doing it if they weren't looking to tease something.
Yeah. So Smackville. I liked on SmackDown this week where Kofi Kingston challenged Randy Orton to a world title match at SummerSlam, and Kofi has to defend the title on Saturday, Sunday, I don't even know what day it is, against 2 other people.
Yes.
And the announcers didn't even bother saying that this match, of course, at SummerSlam will only take place if Kofi retains.
I think Michael Cole did say that once, but yes, for the most part, it was an afterthought to the big SummerSlam angle. Sure.
What did you say about Shane being outsmarted and made to look a fool?
Well, it's the big push for SummerSlam. You gotta give him the heat and the big angle here.
We're recording this as SmackDown is going off the air.
Yes.
Well, there you go, I guess. Okay. Shane just beat down Roman Reigns. And
Shane was
all by himself,
participating in the 3-on-1 beatdown of Shane, and then Owens came back and made the save.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's interesting to me though that Owens and Reigns are so clearly positioned right now as the top 2 baby faces, and neither of them are the champion.
Yeah. They're definitely. Kofi's been on Raw more than he's been on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Which is part
wild card rule.
Oh man. Anyway, all right. So that's what's going on in WWE. The G1's happening. We didn't do a show last week, pretty much because G1 is ruining my life.
Sure.
Yeah, G1's going on. There's been a lot of good wrestling there. Each show, I think, so far has been better than the one before it. Any G1 thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think to me, and we've talked about this a little off air. I think this, coupled with the Best of the Super Juniors tournament last month, has really just hit home for me how superior the New Japan in-ring product is to any company anywhere else in the world right now.
I mean, you're not gonna get an argument here. Yeah, they're really good. Will Ospreay and Okada. I think one of those 2 guys is the best wrestler in the world, and I think maybe just depends what day it is.
Yeah, Tomohiro Ishii is throwing his hat in that ring as well. I think in this tournament, as he seems to do every year in the G1.
Here's the deal. Like, I know Ishii's 40 plus years old, and he's 5'4" or 5'5". The only reason I can come up with why he isn't a perennial IWGP title contender / multi-time champion or whatever is that he's 5'4" or 5'5".
Yeah.
Like, and I know size isn't supposed to matter as much in companies that aren't WWE or at all in 2019, but that's like legitimately the only reason I could come up with. I was discussing this with some of the Wrestling Observer people, and they were like, well, he's pretty old. And I'm like, well, yeah, but as long as he keeps that agility, which is what sets him apart, really, is
right.
He's not just a pit bull brawler. He's a pit bull brawler who's really agile. Like as long as he keeps that agility, he can work that style into his 50s.
Right. This isn't like Makabe or Nakanishi or some of those guys that are
Right,
not
they're just
not
big.
that all of them are terrible, but they're very clearly their best days are behind them, and I'm not sure that's the case with Ishii.
No, it's pretty crazy. And it's not like he's a high flyer,
Right.
you know. But even if that were the case, I think he's a wrestling genius, and he can figure out some style to work that
Yeah.
he can do for the next 10 years because he's a wrestling genius.
Yeah, no, I think he's incredible, and we talked on the show maybe a month ago about how if I think you said if you were starting like a wrestling school, you'd want Rocky Romero to teach it.
Yeah.
I think Ishii, like I would like he would be like my special, like he would be another guy I would want, especially to work with big man, even though he is ironically not, he's whatever 5'5" or whatever, but like to work with that sort of brawler style and teach guys who are maybe brawlers by trade to also be able to work a match with any kind of opponent, because obviously she can work the real stiff brawling style with Moxley or with Jeff Cobb, but we've also seen him do crazy sprints with Omega in last year's G1, and he can just do he can do everybody else's style and adapt his style to everybody else's style, which is a really really rare gift with I think in wrestling, and he's just someone that, yeah, as you said, is a genius, and hopefully when he's done, he's training at one of the dojos when all is said and done.
Yep. So I think he and Moxley had the best match of the tournament so far this past week, and I guess it was Friday last week now. I don't know. Did you like that match more, Ishii and John Moxley, or I guess a lot of people liked Okada and Ospreay? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't argue with you if you said either of those were your favorites. I think I lean a little bit more to Ishii and Moxley just because it was so, even among all these great New Japan matches, felt very unique to me and very, just very vicious and stiff. But at the same time, I was never scared for either man's, long term well being. It's just a really really memorable. It felt like a fight. Okada and Ospreay, on the other hand, felt our buddy Stink likes to use the phrase a very modern match, which I think usually in his case means a lot of kickouts and not a lot of psychology. This was an example, I think, of like Ospreay and Okada together felt like this is the cutting edge of what pro wrestling is in 2019 to me. Like high level main event professional wrestling, all of these crazy counters, all these crazy reversals, and really they both did a really great job of when you think you feel like the signature move is coming, the other guy reverses it and turns it into something else. To me, it was just the very best of what like modern professional wrestling can be. So they're very different types of matches, and like I said, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you either way. Personally, I think I like the Moxley match better, but yeah, that Okada Ospreay match, like I said, I just felt like I was watching like the cutting edge of professional wrestling when I watched that match.
Yep, no argument for me here. I think there were spots in the Okada and Ospreay match that were like some of the greatest spots I've ever seen in my life. Though, like there was
Yeah,
a spot where I forget what it was now. Ospreay went for Okada went for a Rainmaker. Ospreay reversed it into a Stormbreaker, and it looked like he was going to hit his Stormbreaker.
yes,
And the sound that the people in the building made
yes,
was like the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like the people realized what was happening. They thought he was going to hit it, and they thought he was going to win, and they were okay with it.
yeah,
And then Okada reversed it into a Rainmaker.
yeah.
But yeah,
I think maybe if Ospreay won that match, it might have been my favorite match of the tournament. Not that I'm like such a giant Will Ospreay fan, but
right.
because it felt like, as you mentioned, that moment where he lifted him up for Stormbreaker at the end of that match, and the crowd was so electric, and it felt like this is your new top foreign star if he pins Okada right here. And still a great match, and obviously he still came out better for it either way, I think. But it felt to me like if Ospreay pinned Okada right there, that might have been like he's the top American wrestler in Japan for the next decade or whatever.
Top firing guy, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just going through, give a couple little notes on some of the performers in the G1 here, since it's my life for the next 3 weeks. Lance Archer's been incredible in this tournament.
Yeah, I am tripling down on my he's better than Drew McIntyre hot take from a couple weeks ago, by the way.
Drew McIntyre's like the most boring wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
He really is.
But I've been told by everyone for like 6 years that he's like can't miss and a main eventer and great promo and such a great worker. And
look, he might be a great promo outside of a scripted WWE promo environment. I don't know. But in that environment, he sucks.
No, he's no good.
He's also so big and muscle bound that he can't move.
Yes.
And the only time he leaves his feet is for the Claymore kick. And other than that, he's too muscle bound to do anything that looks like an athletic move.
Yeah, and like I've always felt like he has like just a weird body type too. Like his arms and legs are really long, so everything he does kind of looks awkward to me. But yeah, whatever. Lance Archer much better, much better. Is my point.
Tanahashi's moving around better.
Yes, I mean I actually, speaking of Lance Archer, I really enjoyed, and you mentioned this to me before I had gotten a chance to watch the show, but they were able to get so much out of not a lot. And that's not an insult to them for not doing a lot. They were on the same card as Okada and Ospreay. And so rather than try to out-moves them or anything, they decided to go out there and just have a match where the veteran... KG smart wrestler is wrestling the big powerhouse, and they were great together.
Yep. Kota Ibushi, if you wanted to criticize Ibushi as a worker, and I think the criticism would be his facial expressions aren't there. I think that's pretty much the only note I would have had for Kota Ibushi as a wrestler, other than, stop kicking guys in the head and stop landing on the top of your head so much.
Yeah.
But his facial expressions have been really good in this tournament. It really helps put whoever he's wrestling helps put them over.
Yeah,
so that's cool. Kenta, I think, has probably been a little bit less than what I expected, but has not been. But he's been good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I don't have a lot of complaints for the Kenta match. I don't think he's had that great breakout match, and obviously he's wrestling Okada this weekend, so that'll probably be that's the match I think everyone's expecting to be like the classic, right?
Yeah, I would think
if Kenta's going to have one in this tournament anyway.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna have wrestling the best guy in the world, it's probably where you're gonna have your best match. Sure.
Hot take there, but yeah, I haven't thought he was bad, but I liked the match he had with Lance Archer, and yeah, I think he's been fine. It's interesting. Obviously, he and Okada are both. Neither of them have lost, correct?
That's correct.
So that's interesting to me that Kenta's been inarguably has been pushed harder than anyone else in the A block so far, and that's Moxley is leading the B block.
Yeah.
So the two, I guess that's. I don't know if refreshing is the right word, but two newcomers are being pushed so hard out of the gate over existing talent is it's not the WWE way, I guess.
No. And I think you got to be careful there. Like I don't anticipate Moxley wins that block still. You don't want to necessarily bring in a guy from outside and have beat all your guys, and then it's sure. Oh, he's better than all our guys. I mean,
that's
you don't
want
TNA
round,
right? You don't want to do the WWE thing either, where you bring him in and you just beat him to prove that you're better. It's like, no, he works for you now. But I think there's probably some kind of happy medium there. But I don't expect Moxley to end up winning that block. I don't think he's going to have the kind of dates available that New Japan's going to want, to like really go all the way with him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I could see him making like the B block finals against Naito or something, but
sure.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely that they would go that hard with him. It was just interesting to see them come out so strong with those two guys, with Kenta and Moxley right out of the gate, and it just struck me the difference in how newcomers or guys from other companies were always treated when they jumped ship to the WWF or E. But I mean, overall, I've got pretty much no complaints. I'm mildly embarrassed that I picked Jay White to be the B block winner and he hasn't won a match yet. But obviously that's part of the storyline too. So I'm not that worried about it.
Yes, there's still time. AEW. Big announcement coming of today.
Probably by the time you're listening to this podcast, you will know what the announcement is.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be probably that they're the official announcement of the night and name of their TV show?
I'm assuming we're getting the Wednesday Night Dynamite announcement. Yes.
So let's assume that's what it was, and cool.
Or it's another Tully Blanchard announcement.
I like that. Like, I don't think that's obviously that's not like a huge thing. I like the idea that Tully hates Dusty so much that long after Dusty is dead, he is now going to try to screw with Dusty's son just because he hates Dusty Rhodes so much. I kind of love that.
It's a fun idea. But I've done such a 180 on Ty Dillinger as a guy. It's and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's going to be marrying Peyton Royce, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think he was something, and I've decided no, he's nothing.
Yeah. If Tully was in the corner of maybe like MJF or somebody that seems to have like a real good future that you want to build around, maybe that would be more interesting for the wrestling world at large.
Sure. All right, so game planning here, our schedule announcement here. No show next week. We're going to take that time. We're going to bank some evergreen shows because I'm going on vacation at the end of August and we'll be able to do a show for a couple weeks.
Correct.
So we'll be back with a new show in 2 weeks, and then we'll have some evergreen content for you kind of probably for the rest of August.
Yeah.
But yes, that's the
you
deal,
go on
right?
vacation, and then you come back, and like a few days later, I'm going to Chicago for All Out.
Yeah.
So it's packed month of August, but we'll still have that great TWL content that you crave in some form or another, as all throughout the month of August.
Huge in Japan.
Huge
in Japan.
The continent of Asia.
Huge in South Africa.
Yeah. Some people in England listen.
That's nice. All right. Anything else you want to get into before I have to go to sleep and wake up in 6 hours for the G1?
Just one last thing we forgot to mention with the Raw stuff is that during the DX and the club segment, at the end of it, AJ started yelling about he's going to go down to NXT. And my thought of that is, now, if I were doing this, the club should beat up DX, and then like the Undisputed Era should come after them for revenge. But what I think is going to happen is that the club is going to go beat up like Johnny Gargano in the Undisputed Era so that AJ can have a match with Triple H. I think we're going to feed AJ a bunch of young guys from NXT so that he can get ready for Triple H.
I can't disagree with you because I've been watching Triple H for 25 years now.
Yeah.
Good Lord. What are we doing here? What are we doing anymore?
I don't know. Man.
We could,
we could have been fans of anything.
Right. We could be doing a podcast about the upcoming Democratic debate.
Yeah. Late night talk shows.
Yeah.
MLB
baseball
Network
trade deadline.
hosts.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead, no, it's still Triple H and Sean on top.
I did like watching Triple H and Shawn have to stand out next to like Eve Torres and Pat Patterson in that final Legend segment last night.
While Hogan and Austin got the spotlight.
Yes, I think that was actually maybe my favorite part of the whole show. Just watching Shawn and Hunter just kind of stand in the background.
All right. We've talked about everything under the sun. Let's get out of here. Till next time, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
And we will be back soon with more stories from the wrestling life.
That was weird. Goodbye.
I started stumbling over the outro like I always do.
And like, I got been doing this for 207 episodes or whatever.
I really got mad at myself.
If it makes you feel any better, my other podcast host also botches the outro to that show. Every time.
It's not like we share DNA or anything.
Nah.
No. Oh, good Lord. Well, let's see here. What do we have for bonus content? When is the next Democratic debate? It's on CNN, right?
Yeah, it's soon. Because they did their fake draft.
Oh, right. They made a fake. Yeah, right.
I was just upset because, like, and it's a shame because the way things happen. Bernie and Biden weren't going after each other before the last debate, so they were together, but they didn't have anything to say to each other.
Yeah.
And now, like, the last 2 weeks has been nothing but them sniping at each other over healthcare.
Right.
But this time it's Bernie and Warren and Kamala and Biden. It's like, well, we've already seen Kamala and Biden. So I would have liked to have seen either Warren and Biden or Bernie and Biden again, but we're not getting that. So
it's July 30th and 31st.
Ah, great.
From 8 to 10 on CNN. I was thinking it was like this coming Tuesday or something. Well, actually, that's exactly what it is. Never mind. It's this coming Tuesday and Wednesday. I have no idea what day of the week it is.
This month has really gotten away from me, if I'm being honest.
Did you start your job yesterday?
I was supposed to originally. I start it next Monday now.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just off this week, which is kind of nice, actually.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
The working at home and like only having a few hours of work to do every day is nice in theory until then you realize, like, other than walking the dog, I haven't been out of the house in like 6 weeks. It's just like, well, what can I do to get out of the house? It's like, well, I guess I could just drive to PetSmart, just walk around PetSmart or something. Well, I don't know what to do here.
You gotta become a window shopper,
right? Something.
Ugh.
All right. Well, I'll send this to you after I get done walking the dog.
All right, homie.
All right. Love you, dude.
All right, love you too. Bye-bye.